gender bent Esme, Ernest Cullen, is another one that I have like mixed feelings about. And if you don't know what we're talking about Life and Death, the gender bent retelling of Twilight that Stephenie Meyer wrote herself, allegedly, to prove, according to her, that Twilight was not misogynistic and everything would have been exactly the same if the genders were swapped. Now, while I do enjoy this book, I maintain that it did the exact opposite of that. So Esme's backstory is basically that when she was 16 years old, she broke her leg and Carlisle was her doctor and she was like obsessed with him. And no man was ever going to measure up to him, but her parents like set her up to marry this man. He was terrible and just like extremely abusive, right? So then she got pregnant and she was going to run away. She did actually escape, right? And she wanted to become a school teacher, but then her baby died of lung fever, so she flung herself off a cliff. And Mr. Always in the right place at the right time, baby Carlisle, was like, not on my watch. Now, Ernest instead apparently had an unstable alcoholic wife, right? Like, she's not going to call the wife abusive. She's unstable and alcoholic. And the daughter he loved more than his own soul. So he told me about one night when his wife, in a drunken rampage, had jumped off a cliff with his little daughter in her arms, and how he hadn't been able to do anything about it but follow after them. And then Corinne, Lady Carlisle, finds him, right? So the thing about this is, like, obviously I wasn't expecting Stephenie to like male pregnancy Ernest, but you're not really going to tell me that there are no accommodations in this description of the backstory versus Esme's backstory that aren't making accommodations for gender roles. It's just not doing that. And like, some of these changes, like, they're not necessary. They're just like making accommodations for gender roles. Like pregnancy, I get that. The rest, not really. But Ernest as a whole, this is not what I picture him to look like. I just think these are really funny. He's pretty much the same as Esme. Like, he has like that really special relationship with Edith. Like, she's obviously his favorite. Ernest isn't like a total disappointment in the way that like Royal is kind of a disappointment, but what really gets me is like, we did keep this with Ernest where like Ernest really loved being a father and he really wanted to be a father, right? But like with Royal, gender bent Rosalie, his whole thing had to be about ambition, whereas like Rosalie really wanted to be a mother. And I was like, why couldn't Royal have just wanted to be a father? And like Stephenie sort of did it with Ernest. So I don't know.